I definitely want to make a point to the new agents that you are not chasing your commission splits in the beginning. It is very important to get transactional experience over making as much money as possible. You're going to learn more that way and you're going to be a better agent.
This is The Agent Goldmine, where you'll find real talk, shit talk, and ambition. We're here to build real businesses and be more than your average agent. We want to know what the killers are actually doing within their businesses, the reality of it. All tactical, no fluff. So we're here to find out. Please share and enjoy.
Welcome back to the Agent Goldmine. Today we have Jana Smith in the house. And listeners, this one is for you if you're interested in cold calling and overcoming the mental barriers that come along with it. So Jana is out of Lawton, Oklahoma, and her niche is military members and investors. She's been an agent for 3 years, and this year already has closed 21 and 4.3-ish million in volume, and she's closed 68 total. She is a solo agent on a team environment, so her firm provides the leverage in the form of an office manager and transaction coordinator. And Jana, I just stalk you on the internet, and everything you do looks really cool. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today. Welcome.
Woo! I'm excited to be here. First podcast. I'm happy it's with you guys.
Yes. Dude, we're excited. And I also follow you on social media, and you are so personable. And yet now you're going into cold calling. So yes. I'm super excited to dig into that later. That's going to be like our deep dive. But first, take us back to why did you become an agent?
Okay, so my pre-real estate professional experience, there really wasn't any. Prior to getting licensed, I was a student at Florida State, which was my hometown. I went to grade school in Tallahassee, Florida, and then upon graduation, I went into Florida State. I always thought something was wrong with me because I could never pinpoint a job title. You know, you're always taught like be a lawyer, a nurse, a teacher, things like that. So I spent 4 years trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and it just never came. So I was continuing my bartending lifestyle and eventually met a real estate developer who convinced me that I should get my real estate license. So I got licensed, started working with him, was kind of a glorified assistant, and then decided I needed to move on to bigger and better things. Found my second broker. Again, still not much structure. And so it was just kind of by whim.
How did you go from Florida to Oklahoma?
Got married. So my husband now, we met in 2022, and he was doing the Green to Gold program to become a officer in the Army. And after 6 months of dating, he was like, hey, want to move to Oklahoma? So I was like, sure, let's go try the real estate game out there. And it's been great.
That's awesome. Okay, cool. And for those that don't know Lawton, can you explain where in Oklahoma that is in case people have referrals?
Yes. So South Oklahoma, 2 hours north of Dallas. And 1 hour south of Oklahoma City. So just huge Army military town. Definitely always open to referrals. And if you're a military town agent as well, I can send some your way too.
So Jana, how did you you moved over to Oklahoma, you became a licensed realtor. How did you first start getting clients? What was your lead gen like then?
So at first I thought my previous experience in Florida was all working my sphere of influence. As mentioned with my first broker, I was kind of a glorified assistant. I was just working their deals for them. And so I didn't have a very good structure or any systems on how to attract leads to me. So then whenever I started working with my new broker, she had a database that she had kind of just let go cold. She wasn't into cold calling. And I started just running through her old database, just, hey, I know that you were looking in 2021. Did you ever end up purchasing? Things like that. I got licensed in November and I ended up closing my first deal in February. So, and it was just the first lead came from going through her database that she didn't nurture.
Okay, so I feel like I have tried this with agents before, or interns. I actually do this with interns all the time. I'm like, hey, here's thousands of people that I have not talked to, at one point, whatever, like, here's this database. Can you call them, do something? And it literally lasts one day. always.
Yeah.
And yet somehow that first lead, did that come from calling the database? And then also like, just tell me like what that looked like. Did you have guidance or was she just like dumped it on your lap? And like, how did you learn?
She dumped it on my lap. I had no clue what I was doing. I kind of had a bad taste in my mouth about it from the get-go, just as anyone does. And I do think it is a lot of mindset. Tons of people responded, hey, I already purchased, thank you. But when I finally reached that one, I think I had called 58 people or something. I was tracking it daily because I was trying to at least do 25 calls a day. And I finally got someone on the phone and the lead turned in. She wasn't looking to purchase, but she had a friend that was PCSing here. And she was very appreciative that I had reached out to her because it had been about 1.5 years since anyone had touched base with her. And she put me in contact with her friend who was PCSing, and we ended up closing the deal in February. So it just calling,
yes.
just calling.
So
or
these leads are
texting,
like,
really.
oh, okay. Yeah. Because texts work too. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And you don't need as thick of skin when you're
Right.
texting. So these leads were like they were strangers to you, but were you introducing yourself in a way that was like, hey, I'm working with so-and-so, and that was like the person that they remembered?
Yes. So my brokerage is just a broker who is in production herself. We have an office manager who kind of acts as our transaction coordinator. And then I'm the only agent. So my broker doesn't really want to do any buyers. So some of these leads in her database were possible buyers that had just gone cold. So I was reaching out to them, and I really think it boiled down to speaking with authority. I noticed my tone of voice on the phone was always like, hey, this is Jana. Like, and it made it sound super awkward. And once I started leveling out my tone of voice and just having a conversation with these people, it started generating more business.
Dude, can you hit us with the tone? Hypothetically, you're calling me right now.
Hey, Shelby. And I always assume I'm talking to the person on the phone. I don't say, hey, is this Shelby? I say, hey, Shelby, how's it going? I'm Jana Smith, real estate agent with Barbara Clark Realty. Just leveled tone of voice. And I'm bad about it. Y'all are going to start picking apart my speaking now, but I'll get nervous and have a nervous tone of voice.
Dude, we are the safest space ever. We're not going to tear you apart. And also our tone, dude, literally on the podcast, literally we have like this note page that Allie and I go back and forth on. And at the very top of the page, it's literally like, calm your voice.
Yes. Sound
because
normal.
We'll get excited. Yeah. And then we'll be like, oh my God.
Right.
So, dude, we're with you. But okay, so you're using this authoritative, you're 25 calls a day. And is this like on a dialer, or are you like hand jamming?
Hand dialing it for now. It's been a little bit less than a year. I would consider a dialer, but now we are working real leads that get input into our database. So it's essentially like a landing page.
Okay, gotcha.
Because a lot of our clients are VA, they're Googling real estate agents in Lawton. And a lot of my clients, I don't meet them until after closing. So they put their information in our website, and then they can see the map of the homes for sale. So it's kind of like a warm lead when I call.
Totally. Okay. So now you used to do 25 days or 25 calls
25,
a day.
Yeah.
25 calls a day, and those were like straight up cold. You're like, hey, cold. I'm Jana. You haven't talked to anyone forever, in your confident voice. Mm-hmm. And it took you 58 to get that first. Wow. So were you still doing 25 a day from that cold, or are you now just on warm?
I am more so just on warm now. I'm trying to get better about always sticking to my time block of, okay, from 10 to 12 is cold or is prospecting. Even if I have 9 deals under contract, I still need to be prospecting because it's an engine. And if you don't keep pumping the engine, it's going to slow down whenever your under contracts close. So I am still doing my best to reach out at least 25 contacts a day. And I'll reach out to the same person multiple days in a row.
Ooh,
if they don't respond.
What does that follow-up look like? How often? What's the tempo?
So right now, whenever someone inputs into our CRM from our website, I will send just a generic from my iPhone, like, hey, this is Jana. Thank you for signing up on our website. This is my direct phone. If you have any questions about the market, something simple like that. It's really a copy and paste. I send it to every new lead. And then if they don't respond to that, I then start a drip campaign from our CRM.
Okay.
Which will be 6 days.
Perfect. Yes.
I just like the first text to go from my phone, because if they call the number from my CRM, it goes to my broker. So I try to intervene that as much as I can at first.
Thank you for listening. Out of respect for your time, we want to make this show as valuable as possible for you. So if you have any feedback on how we can improve, please let us know. DM us at Allie the Agent and The Shelby Show.
I want to talk about the splits. So being that these are strangers to you, you're cold calling, but they were in her database. What does that split look like?
Okay, and I'm happy you brought this up, because this is something that I thought you guys would enjoy listening to, because I know Shelby talks about newer agents, and newer agents need to get some sort of experience somewhere first. And I think a brokerage like the situation that I'm at right now is wonderful for new agents. I'm only going to be here for 2 years, so I didn't see it valuable to be pumping a ton of marketing dollars into me. I'm only temporarily here. So my cut is 50-50, but she pays for my transaction coordinator, all my leads, my CRM, and everything. So it's great for the transactional experience, because, you can be an agent with a 90% cut, but if you don't know how to attract leads or close deals, then what's the point of having a 90% cut?
Yeah. And that's the mistake that I see so many new agents take, is they go for like the 100%, why would I give up 50% when I can make 100? And then a year goes by and they have no deals, they've done nothing.
Right.
And even once they have like a couple of prospects, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to say, because they don't have the scripts. They don't have the checklist. They don't have anything. They're like, well, but I get 100%,
Exactly.
Like,
of one deal a year.
Yeah. If that. So
right.
I think that's like a perfect way to like tell everyone, if you are a new agent, you can just reach out to these like more experienced agents that have people in their database and be like, hey, for a 50% cut, like, can I reach out? Can you send me some of these dead leads that you don't want to talk to? I will talk to them. But so many new agents like don't think that, they're like, oh, I don't want to give away 50%, or I don't want to do the work.
Exactly.
Okay, that's literally me. Okay, listeners out there, I have thousands of people in my database that is not being touched right now. Please. I would love to. I literally had my intern do it like day 1, and he got like 3 referrals out of it. And I'm like, okay, this needs to be a real thing.
I made a reel out of this one time, like a couple of, like 2 years ago. And in the green screen, I had all of these missed calls, like pages and pages of just red, my iPhone just red. And I was like, I do not have time to even answer these calls. Like, get someone help me.
I remember you posting that.
Yeah. And no one reached out. Like, to this day, no one has reached out. And I'm like, dude, so they're dead. They're all dying. It's only been a year and a half, but that's exactly what you're doing now, is calling people a year and a half later. Dude, I'm right there with you, Shelby. I'm like, can someone like take these off my plate? Because I don't have the time to nurture these people. So man, it's like, this is perfect. I love this.
And my commission cut is incentivized. So the 50-50 is only on the leads from her CRM, which she pays for the marketing and things like that. But if I say my husband brings me one of his friends, I get an 80% cut of that. So I'm still incentivized to learn how to bring in my own leads, but I have a 50-50 cut. But a new agent, that's perfect, because to set up her system would cost me thousands of dollars a month, or I can just give away half the commission. So it saves me money out of pocket.
I want to talk a little bit more about cold calling. So in the beginning, it was like straight cold, and you were just calling these people with your authoritative voice, and, it's probably getting told off by some of them, no answers. And then depending on their situation, following up. So I guess my question is, now when you say like cold calling's my thing, can you like walk us through what that actually looks like in your life?
Yes. So in the very beginning, I've kind of gotten more into the texting, but I was cold calling from the beginning, and I would call. If it would ring, I would know that the number was real. and I would let it go all the way to voicemail. And if I heard that if I was calling a Shelby, for example, and I heard that the voicemail was, hey, this is Shelby, leave a message, I would hang up and text that person, hey, Shelby, because I know I have the right person. If the voicemail was just the automated, leave your name and number at the beep, I would hang up immediately and call them again. And I would sometimes call them 3 times in a row, which sounds so aggravating and annoying. And that was a serious mental thing to get over. But I can't tell you how many times people actually answered on the third call, not annoyed. They just were like, holy crap, this person's calling me 3 times in a row. Like, who is this? And I'm just like, hey, this is Jana. I was just seeing if you're interested in buying some real estate. I don't know. Super casual. Like, the more casual, the better.
Wow. So they would not answer annoyed.
Not annoyed. I have not, from calling someone 3 times in a row, I've not had one person be like, why are you calling me?
Really?
Yeah. And my finger would be like shaking, like, call back. I don't want to, but I would just do it anyways.
Yeah. No, that's so good to hear, because so many people are like scared to even call them once. You know, like, what if I'm interrupting their day, let alone call them twice, let alone call them 3 times in a row? I have been on the receiving end of that, and I do answer on the third. Well, I don't answer anymore, but I did answer on that third call because I'm like, holy crap, this must be important. But that one time I did answer, I was actually in the shower, so I was like, or like right, getting out of the shower.
You're
I'm
upset,
like, this must be important. Yeah. Oh yeah. I was like, hello, and then I realized it was like a sales call, and I was like so rude. So like, I know on the like receiving end, I'm so rude. I want to talk about, have people been rude to you? Because I do not cold call because I know how I would act if I were on the other side, and I don't want to deal with me. So
right. So I do have one story about that. I did this. She was a great client. We ended up closing. She was military, younger. When I say younger, I mean like 24. So she was pretty young. And I called her 3 times in a row, and she finally answered and was like, what? Why are you calling me so much? I'm a nurse. I'm at the hospital, and like hung up on me. And I don't know why. I called her back, and she was like, who is this? And I was like, well, you signed up on my website, so I was just trying to get connected with you, making sure you didn't need anything. And then she just leveled out for some reason and just had a conversation with me. And then we ended up having a buyer's consultation 3 days later and getting a house under contract. So even if this conversation from first answer, they're annoyed, I feel like you just can't take it personally. You can't make it. It happens all the time. And I think the more times you hear F off and get hung up on, the more confident you are. Like, they're already ignoring you and they don't know who you are. So just give them another call.
That's perfect too, especially since I totally forgot that they already signed up for your service. You know, like they put their own phone number. It's not like a cold call. I don't know. You know, like they raised their hand saying that they need help. They need your help. It was on your website. So yeah, by you telling them like, hey, I just want to make sure that since you signed up, I want to make sure that I'm of service to you. Right. That's what they were like, oh yeah, wait, I did ask for help.
Right. You put your information in there. You could have put a wrong number. Yeah. So
totally.
I just always think of that.
Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day who they like gamify it. I think that's the right word, where they're like, 1 point because someone hung up on me, 2 points. Someone told me to f off. And it's like a game that they play.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
I have a question. So before we hit record, you were talking about like the mindset. And can you take us through like your mental journey before cold calling, some mindset things to overcome? Hit us with some wisdom, dude.
So I was just, for whatever reason, embarrassed to make that call, or just, I felt like I was maybe not going to say the right things and it was going to be in some sort of way embarrassing. And I really just had to overcome the fact that whenever they put their information in on our website, they don't know that it's getting directed to me. So if I say my name is Jana Smith, that means absolutely nothing to them. I could be in a different country. And so I think just overcoming that embarrassment there, if you don't end up having a buyer's consultation with them, you're probably never going to meet them. So who cares if they are super annoyed at you and hate your guts and block your phone call or block your phone number. So I really think it just comes with learning how to speak with authority really helps your confidence whenever you're making these calls. And there's a website, it's called udily.com, and you can record yourself and it will mirror, or it'll tell you where things were left out in your speech, if it didn't make sense or if it's not clear and concise. So yeah, it's
How do you
very
spell
interesting. It's
this?
AI. Yeah, it's YOOLDI, Udily. And it's free.
What?
Yeah.
So we could be recording this podcast right now and they could be like, Allie, shut the up. Or
yeah,
like,
it could say make better eye contact or don't use as many filler words.
Oh,
This
no.
sentence
That's
doesn't
actually-
I'm
this
scared.
Allie,
this
we need
sentence
this
doesn't
so
make
bad.
sense. You should have said it like this. Yeah. So I'll practice my calls with myself on that because it's just an AI person.
That's
Oh my
super smart.
gosh.
Dude.
So you could also have the call live on speaker or maybe even not. And then
I could
you're
record
on the other
this.
side.
Yeah,
Okay.
interesting.
That's cool.
But
That's-
yeah, so just I think practicing with yourself, role playing is huge. We used to role play in our brokerage a little bit on Tuesdays. So
Yeah, no, that's super smart. That's what I was gonna say. I didn't realize that RedX did this. Are you guys familiar with RedX?
Mm-mm.
No.
You know what it is? Oh, okay. It's like a caller thing. You were supposed to say yes, so I didn't have to explain what it was. Fuck.
No.
No, I'm
it's
not
like
familiar.
some like calls. Basically, you can like buy lists from it, and it has like a dialer, and you can call, and it's like the preemptive CRM. And once they turn into a lead, generally people move it over to like their actual CRM. But what I just found out the other day, because Redx is like it's kind of like Vulcan, like it's pretty well known out there. But Redx has this thing now where you can do practice calls with people who work like behind the scenes at Redx. So you can like go in and you can select your skill level. You can say like easy, medium, or hard. And then you can say whether it's like a buyer listing or if it's like a for sale by owner or whatever. And you can literally like live script with someone who works at Redx and they'll record it and send it to you afterwards, which I thought was like,
Wow. Yes, I'm a huge believer in the role play. And I know it's awkward and you feel like you're not getting anything out of it, but I think you would get a ton out of using something like RedX.
yeah, Allie's like the role play queen of the world.
Okay. You also mentioned text. So not only do you call, but you text as well. How do you make your text stand out for the best conversion?
On day 3, if they've not responded, not day 3, day 4, if they have not responded to me, I will make a personal video, just holding it, nothing staged in a studio. And I will say, hey, Allie, basically whatever my text was going to say, I would just say it in video. So they know I'm a real person. And a lot of times that does get a response. And then sometimes I'll send a virtual business card. If they have an Android, I use iPhone. I don't know if my video is going to come in weird. But I do try to send some sort of photo or video so they know that there's a face with a name.
Nice. And then what else does your text look like?
It's truthfully very short, sweet, and simple and to the point. What I try to blame my consistent outreach on is the fact that you did sign up for my website. So I'm assuming that you do want to be contacted. And I want you to know that I'm going to be consistent in getting in contact with you. And that is also how I'm going to handle your transaction. I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be on top of it. And I want to make sure that you are getting in touch with properly. I messed up on that sentence. But essentially, someone who reaches out one time and it's like, oh, it's a cold lead, like that's how they're going to handle your transaction. Like they're going to get the inspection report back and be like, oh, well, you should just fix all of this stuff because that's what the buyer wants.
Yeah. So you're sending that text day 4. On day 4, how many phone calls had you already made? Say they did not respond. What does day 1 through 3 look like again?
Day 1, I'll call them 3 times in a row. No answer. I'll send them a text. And day 2, 1 text, no call. Day 3, 1 text. It's just 1 text until day 7. And then on day 7, I do a 60-day email drip campaign. And some of those drip campaigns I put in the Canva templates. And they're still wordy, but they're colorful and they have a pretty good open rate. And I don't have that many unsubscribes.
Okay, this is the perfect segue to the golden nugget that you provided, which is the Canva template. And this is beefy. This is so good. Like for those that have that use Canva, oh my god, you're gonna want to download this one. And of course, you can get it for free at theagentgoldmine.com. Can you walk us through what you brought for everyone?
So there's one that just says, welcome. You're going to receive weekly updates from me here. And this is the email. The CRM that we have actually has some text email drip templates. And I did use some of their words, and I just put them in a Canva spreadsheet. So whenever it comes on an email, like whenever people open an email and it's just words on words on words, it's very unlikely that someone's going to read that. So if you can at least break it up with some color, maybe put your logo, put your face, they're at least familiarizing themselves with you, whether or not they call you. But if they're driving around town and then they see a for sale sign that also has your face and logo on it, it just becomes more rememberable. So maybe when you reach out later on, it just adds to your credibility, I would say. So I have some that's like walking you through the 6-step process. I always try to make the emails something they can use, whether or not they call me, just so they feel like they're getting helped. A lot of my clients are first-time home buyers, or just VA.
Yeah.
VA guys.
And you have one for a house tour, for open houses. You have a whole Canva for that too. That's awesome, where you get their information. Please rate this house on the following, location, price, etc. on a scale of 1 to 10. This is cool. This is so
I'll
good.
print those out whenever I'm showing buyers 8 houses or something in one day, or 5. I'll print those out. I'll pre-fill out the top, and then hand them to them with a clipboard and a pen so they can take notes on the house that they're seeing, so they have something to refresh their memory whenever they go home. But I think it also just makes that extra little step of, oh, wow, you actually prepared for our meeting type thing.
Yeah. And then you're asking some questions here, the listing questions. Dang, this is what a good golden nugget. Wow, this is okay. There's so much in here, for so many steps of any transaction. So go on theagentgoldmine.com. If you have any questions, reach out to Jana. Thank you for providing this.
Just a little example. And you can obviously, my email drip campaign, the first 4 or 5 have the nice Canva, and then it kind of trickles off into less beefy emails. But by the 5th one that gets sent, we're on day 60. So they're probably not really a warm lead at that point. I'll eventually make more. It just takes some time.
Yo, real quick, this podcast is not free. Cost of admission is sharing with a buddy who'd benefit or throwing it on your Instagram story. Tag us, we'll reshare that shit.
Yeah, they're so cute too. I really love the visuals. Because you're right. If you just get blasted with a bunch of words, it's oh, I can't even look at that.
Yeah, and the point with those, it doesn't have to be super complicated or intricate. You don't need to pay someone to make them for you. Just put some stuff, make it look thoughtful, put your face on it, and it feels more personable, I think.
Totally. And you mentioned them being in the CRM drip campaign. What CRM do you guys use?
We use Real Geeks.
Real
CRM.
Geeks. Do you like it?
Mm-hmm. I love it.
What do you love about it?
It is very user-friendly. But I think any CRM can do the same functions. I probably don't use it to the best of its abilities.
No one can.
But that's why it's just any CRM will do its thing. It's really the agent has to make the contacts. If you're not contacting people, you are not going to close deals. I mean, I had prior sales experience before coming here, but I didn't have a sphere of influence. I didn't know anyone. So the only way I was going to close a deal is by calling 1,000 people.
Yes. So before you mentioned that you do, you try to do your calls at least prospecting from 10 to 12 daily. Could you walk us through a day in the life of Jana Smith? What does your schedule / routine look like?
Well, my schedule / routine has been, since moving here, it's a world of opportunity for investment properties. So right around 9 a.m., I typically like to get into the office, make sure all my emails are squared away. Anything that was left undone the day before, I try to situate that, maybe write down some important appointments that I have for the day. And then from 10 to 12, I will reach out to any of the new leads that have been unassigned. So those are ones that maybe signed up past 6 p.m. the night before and haven't been reached out to. So those are the ones that I will handle first. And then I'll go back through my CRM because, as I mentioned, I reach out to the same people for at least 7 days. And I will make sure that they are receiving a text if they're still within the first 1 to 7 days. And if not, or if I'm past the 7-day mark, then I'll move them into a cold lead category, which will assign them to the email drip campaign. And then later on in my afternoons, I don't like to do many showings or appointments until after 12. So I have my admin from 9 to 12 and then appointments after 12.
But what happens before 9?
Before
in the morning?
9, I like
Tell
to
me
wake
everything.
up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
See, this is what we were missing, Jana.
Yeah.
Gosh.
This actually brings me to a great point. So before I met my broker, I didn't, and after working with her, I was still missing that sphere. So I started training as a personal trainer at F45 to meet people. So Mondays and Wednesdays, I train the 5 a.m. class, and then I take the 6 a.m. class. Then I come home, do my like personal care routine, make breakfast, and then get ready for the office.
Nice.
So yeah, every day I'm up at like 5 o'clock in the morning, but that is very important.
What time do you
for
sleep?
me. 8, 9 max.
Okay. Yeah. So 4 or 5 wake up. You go 5 a.m. You class. You teach it. Sometimes you have 6 a.m. You take the class. You're fit chick. And then morning stuff 9 through 12 admin. And then in the showings in the afternoon. What else do you do on a daily basis? Whether it's after showings or when does social media happen? When are you reading? When are you? Tell me more, Jana.
So, but if I'm doing social media, I would typically like to, again, do that during my personal time. So my personal time is between 4 and 5 a.m. and 9. So social media is going to happen somewhere in between that time. And, you know, I have that strict time block for prospecting and personal reading. I typically like to turn my phone off around 7-ish, and I'll do like some reading at night. I'll try to turn my phone off at 7. Not off. I say I try.
Oh, okay.
Now that I'm married, I'm trying to like do this whole like be an agent and be married thing. Y'all know. So thankfully he's super cool with real estate. He actually like is involved. So any personal stuff that's not prospecting happens before 9.
Okay.
So I really like my mornings for that reason. It's either workout, breakfast, and then any personal life that I need to do.
I want to shift gears, unless Shelby, you have some more about this. What are you struggling with? I guess like being that you're getting really good with cold calling, and you're doing a lot of transactions. What's something that you're struggling with in your business or your personal life?
Personal life is balancing when does real estate stop? And I know Shelby made a post about this too, about you don't know when your life stops and real estate begins. And I think that is a common issue for tons of agents, is they don't know how to take time to themselves. And everybody does need that reset every now and then. So even if it's just maybe silencing your phone after 8, 7's too early type thing, I think that helps. I'm not even gonna lie, I totally like went off on a tangent there and then forgot the question.
it was what you're struggling with, but no.
Oh, my struggling listings.
Okay, how so?
Listings here. I think listings here are just challenging for me because I am not super comfortable with knowing the area, and they're extremely hard to comp. Like, you can look at a map and one street will be no house over 120,000, and then the same street that is just a little bit down the road, like I'm talking a mile down the road, will be $300,000 houses. And it's just very hard for me to properly comp for some reason. So listings have been a struggle for me.
That's very similar to Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is another military town, Fort Bragg or Fort Liberty. They changed the name. And literally same. It's like street to freaking street.
it's
So
just
crazy.
wildly different. And you'd think you're like in a great area, and then like 1 or 2 streets over, it's like straight hood. So I feel you on that. But do they have like actual neighborhoods? Like instead of doing a radius, I'm sure you've already done this, but just in case.
They sort of have neighborhoods. That's how our MLS is categorized, by neighborhood. But the neighborhood will just be a square block on the map, and it is just a wide. Everything mixes together. I do not understand. I listed this one house for 220, and my broker was like, "You listed that like 40,000 over what you're going to get for it," and it was just a hard conversation with the owners, and it was just terrible. And I felt so bad. And that's why I've been focusing more on buyers right now until I can get Lawton, well digested with all the different areas.
And how much longer do you have at Lawton?
2025.
2025. Do you guys know where you're going yet next?
Florida. We're going back to Florida.
You're going back to, is he getting out?
Yes.
Okay, so we're in
Oh,
Florida.
so that's how you know. I was like, how does the Army work that fast? Holy crap.
Yeah. Yeah, he's getting out 2025. We don't, somewhere West Palm, North Fort Lauderdale, in between there maybe. But we've been liking it here. The investments are really good here. So we've been doing a lot of creative finance, which the investment aspect of my personal life has also helped me become a better real estate agent as well.
100%. Yeah, I agree. If you're in it, whether you're just home buying, or actually an investor yourself, that will make you a much better agent, I think. Talk a little bit about that. What makes Lawton a good place to invest?
The property values are relatively low compared to the rest of the United States. You can buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage that was built in 2009 for $150,000 here. So it's,
and what's the rent?
High.
Wow.
You could probably rent it for $1,600 or $1,700. So you have a great cash flow opportunity here, even with the rates.
Dude,
I
that's
might have to talk to.
Yeah.
And that must be awesome for your military buyers too. Because like I remember one of my favorite things about working in the Fayetteville area is that like every single person I talked to had a VA loan, and I'm like, bro, 0% down. I think you can afford to buy this house.
Right.
And then especially if you talk about, the house hacking opportunities, or even just buying something with your VA loan that's not the top of the market, just a nice solid rental, then when you move, it's just like such an easy, nice, fun conversation to have.
Yes. And I love having those conversations. And I feel like that helps me connect with my clients too. I feel like it gives me subject matter expertise feeling whenever I'm trying to convince someone like it is a good time to buy, even though rates are 7%. And I can say, I just purchased something, so I have skin in the game too. So I think you're making a good decision. And
yeah, totally. Skin in the game is so real. That's another thing. Like, I totally agree with you that personally investing, it helped me learn so much more than I never would have learned unless I was personally going through it. And like Ali said, it doesn't have to be an investment. It could be your primary residence, but like you just get this extra layer of the experience that takes like the knowledge and then the reality and combines it into just the ability to be that much better of an agent and that much more confident in all of your conversations that you're having.
I agree. Definitely. And yeah, it doesn't have to be an investment as primary. You'll learn why people ask for certain things and when they do by walking yourself through that transaction. So I think that's really important, especially for young agents. When I first started, I was 23, didn't own a house. And I'm like, am I even qualified to tell these people how to purchase a home? I don't know. It just like something wasn't clicking.
Apple listeners, this short pause is to ask you for a review. Here's how to do it. Back out of the specific episode, go to the page where you see all the episodes, scroll down, keep scrolling. Perfect. Now tap those 5 stars. Thank you so much. Back to the show.
Yeah, no, totally. And I read this the other day. It was Russell Brunson. He said, your results are your certifications. Because, a lot of young people will be like, I need qualifications, or I need to go to school so that way I can have, a degree. And it's like, well, if you go out and get real life experience, then you don't need any of those things because the results in which you've generated are your certifications. But anyway, that was just a little side note. Jana, we are curious, looking ahead, like hypothetically, you're in Florida,
your Fort Lauderdale area, whatever, are you still doing real estate, or like what does the future look like for you?
We will definitely still be doing real estate, James and I, except I will probably be the one in the sales. We would ideally like to do a massive portfolio refi somewhere and either buy a like larger multifamily storage facility or an existing business possibly, just to give us something to do whenever we move there, as well as some consistent income since, we're used to him being in the Army and having that stability of income. But yes, definitely sales. And we'll try to ramp up the investments to something larger scale. So right now we're just doing single family.
That's exciting. I love how, I don't know, once a spouse gets out of the military, it just opens up so much, like the world is your oyster. So you can plan ahead,
Craziness.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited for
It was
us.
definitely a transition, but I feel like the military lifestyle is so nice. I did not wake up at 5 a.m. prior to being married to someone in the military. That's new. And now I love my 5 a.m.s. I mean, that is so important just to be up early.
Yeah. So as we head to our wrap-up questions, are there any last parting words that you would like to share?
I definitely want to make a point to the new agents that you are not chasing your commission splits in the beginning. It is very important to get transactional experience over making as much money as possible. You're going to learn more that way and you're going to be a better agent. I also break down the real estate game into marketing, sales, and client care, and it's a spectrum. And 80% of your business is marketing. You're really only selling yourself for about 10%. And then after you close, you still need to have like some client care and outreach with that person. So it's really important to have an operational plan for your business, because as an agent, even if you are a single agent, you are running a business.
Especially.
Yes, especially.
Love. Okay, first wrap-up question. Your favorite app or tool?
Trello, hands down.
We're some Trello nerds over here too.
Are my life, yes.
My computer's freezing now, so I can't click it. But one of the Canva ones had a that you uploaded to the Agent Goldmine had something related to Trello. What was that?
It was our personal checklist for each transaction. And even though I can run a transaction with my eyes closed, every single one I always input into Trello and still go through that checklist, just because it helps me be able to look at all of my deals at one time, see where they're at, and also be able to communicate that with the office manager.
I love that you said that, because even though you can run it with your eyes closed in your sleep, like you still need a checklist. All of the other professions use checklists. Why would you? Surgeons, pilots, they all use checklists. Why would you not do it when you're dealing with huge amounts of, someone else's money?
Right.
Yeah.
And just making it just gives you peace of mind.
Yeah. At a minimum, it'll give you just the peace of mind.
Right.
And at best, you don't have the transaction falling apart, and you're not waking up in the middle of the night anymore thinking, oh my God, did I forget to do this? You just look at your checklist and did you check it off? Cool. Then you did it. Then you're good to go.
Right.
You can go to sleep.
And it's that feeling of accomplishment, like, heck yeah, got that one done. Moving on to the next. So you got to reward yourself. Checklists will reward you.
Yeah. That checking it off feels nice.
Yeah.
So second wrap-up question. What events are you going to this year?
Events. I need to get some events lined up. I don't have anything planned.
Good for you.
We are taking a honeymoon trip next week.
Oh, congrats.
Like a year
Where are you
after
going?
getting married. Guatemala.
Nice.
We're going to go hike some volcanoes.
Nice.
Maybe
we'll
film some content.
Of course.
That would make compelling content. We'll watch. We'll like everything immediately.
Yeah. I'm thinking.
Okay, Jana, how can we or listeners help you in your business besides the mass amount of referrals that are going to happen overnight to Lawton, Oklahoma? Is that right? Did I get that right?
Lawton, Oklahoma.
For Jana Smith. Besides that, what else can we do or listeners do to help you?
Supporting my Instagram would be great. I do use that as my digital resume. I feel like it helps with my credibility. So, just engaging with content. I'll give you a follow back. We can share details.
Hashtag follow for follow. Remember that was a thing
follow
like
for follow
10 years
in
ago.
MySpace. Yeah, I remember that. Like for like.
Like for like. Yeah.
Like for like.
Okay, where can people find your Instagram? What's your handle?
Jana Does Real Estate.
And
Super
that's
easy.
Jana. Jana Does Real Estate.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Sweet. So if you have any referrals, if you know of anybody PCSing to Fort Sill, hit up Jana on Instagram. She's a great agent. And if you want to hit us up, we are Allie the Agent and The Shelby Show on the gram as well. We respond to all messages. All three of us do. So hit us up. We don't bite. And that's it. So thank you so much for paying attention to today's show. Go to theagentgoldmine.com because this was a really, really good golden nugget. Jana, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Listeners, this is for you. Be a bro and share this show. Thanks so much for listening, dude. If you want the golden nugget that this guest provided, see the show notes or just go straight to theagentgoldmine.com. That's where we keep all our resources for you. Till next time.